Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the Dushtana Bhava, the Trik Bhava, the most vulnerable and the houses of obstacles. So I mean to say 6th house, 8th house, 12th house. But guys, over here I'm going to be adding some more layer to it, to this discussion, that we will try to understand these three houses from the perspective of that if your whole life hovers around or revolves around the attributes of this house, which can only happen if your ascendant lord is placed over here. So definitely guys, there are like certain cases where like these houses could act as a blessing for you, specifically if your ascendant lord has gone over here and it is strong. Now we all know that for the Libra Lagna, both the 6th house and the 8th house energy. In the 8th house, the ascendant lord stays in its own territory, in its own sign, and in the 6th house it attains exaltation. When we talk about the Aquarius Lagna natives, in their case, the same planet which has got a rulership over their 1st house, the same planet rules their 12th house as well. But definitely guys, you do not find these kind of alignments in majority of the cases. So how to work or how to live in harmony with the signification of these houses, that is going to be a part of our today's discussion. So okay guys, let's first start about that why these houses are considered as problematic. So we all know this thing that definitely the nature of problem which comes from these Dushtana Bhavas are somehow slightly different. Now definitely when we talk about the 6th house in a way is the house of your daily life. 6th house is also the house of your like challenges on the account of you face in your daily life. Like there are those people who are able to manage and they tend to remain in complete command and control over their daily affairs. And there are like those people who are all the time, one thing is breaking down, or like their subordinates do not listen to them, like people who own big businesses, they're not able to retain the employees within their firm. So a strengthened 6th house is something which we need in our daily life. Second thing is that definitely any of the concerns of the loans, any of the concerns of the credit, we see from this house. And when we talk about enmity or with how much ferociousness, God forbid, if being put in a situation where there is no resort, you have to be in that competitive situation. You have to prove yourself. So with how much ferociousness are you gonna fight? How much you will be able to intimidate your opponents, that is something which we also see from the 6th house. And at the end of the day guys, when it comes down to any of the concerns of the health, so that we also see from the 6th house, your immunity, your defense system, we see from the 6th house. Now guys, one thing which I have learned, like this could be in my case as well, because I also have my ascendant lord being in one of the Dushtana Bhava, or in majority of the cases who I have given consultations. Because when you are like talking to someone, you are like having a in-person discussion with someone, a lot many times I have seen that it hardly matters that whether a planet is strengthened in the Dushtana Bhava or whether a planet is weak. Somehow your life tend to remain little bit different compared to all those people in whose cases the ascendant lord is placed in any other house. This could be 5th house, 9th house, 10th house, any other house. No matter whether the planet is weak or whether the planet is in a strengthened state, but life tend to remain still little bit different compared to all those people in whose cases their ascendant lord has gone to the Dushtana Bhava. So guys, one thing is for sure, and which I generally recommend to people, that if you have your ascendant lord in any of these houses, somehow it hardly matters where your 10th house lord is taking you, where your 2nd house or the 11th house lord is taking you, because a lot of our energies and time in the life is spent in being engaged in the pursuit of establishing our career, establishing our name in the society, doing something for our family. But one thing which I generally recommend to all people is that if your ascendant lord has gone to any of these houses, somehow there has to be a part of the discipline which somehow is connected with the that Dushtana Bhava as a part of your daily lifestyle, as a part of your daily life activities. So now guys, like the way I was talking about that if you have your ascendant lord in the 6th house, so in certain cases I've also seen this thing that if you are a Aries Lagna and your ascendant lord being Mars is placed in the 6th house, and these are those cases where immunity related concerns or health related concerns native is already facing. So what I'm trying to say over here is that if your ascendant lord is there in the 6th house, what can you do as a part of the remedy? How can you design your life? Because your ascendant lord is something where your focal point, somehow it's like in the cosmos, this is what your actual home is. Wheresoever you will go, whatsoever you will do, whatsoever you will achieve, you have to again come back to this house, because somehow your focal point in the cosmos, in your chart, is that house where your ascendant lord is placed. So generally guys, if you will find that in someone's case their ascendant lord is forming some good yogas in the 6th house, ascendant lord is placed in the 6th house, it is generally recommended that in your lifestyle there has to be something around the daily discipline. That is the one thing which you have to inculcate in your lifestyle. Now this could be any habit. This could be going out feeding birds, this could be going out feeding the animals, or this could be trying to help people who are in some sort of dire problem, or like anything to do with the counseling, anything to do with doing and engaging in any sort of voluntary work is something which is generally recommended if your ascendant lord is placed in the 6th house. And nothing could be better than that if this is what your profession is as well, like you're working as a nutritionist, you're working as a gym trainer, you're working as a fitness trainer, you are in the field of law, you are in the field of a loan department, you're working in a bank, in any of the finance industry. So then this strengthened state of your ascendant lord in the 6th house will actually start giving you good results. So it hardly matters what dashas are currently operating in your life, what sort of kind of aspirations you have, in which field you have established yourself. If your ascendant lord is placed in the 6th house, giving attention and care to your health, being very conscious about your discipline, being very conscious about your terms with your subordinates. Guys, like the way we say this thing, that all those people who are in the influence and time period of Saturn, that you have to remain very respectful towards all those people who work under you, who support you in any form. So that sort of respectful attitude towards your subordinates has to be there as a part of your personality. So that is something which I want to say. Guys, the good part about if you have to differentiate between the three Dushtana Bhava, 6th house still has this advantage that over here, this is the territory which is somehow still in your control. Like with strong conviction and with daily discipline, you can still overcome the challenges being created by the 6th house. And again guys, if your ascendant lord is there in the 6th house, there has to be this habit of, in whichever capacity you can help people, like you have to come across as a formidable force in order to give shelter to the needy people. Like the way guys, if you will notice in any of the superhero movies, what happens? God forbid if any blast, any situation happened, all the civilians, everyone is running away from it, but the person who's wearing a uniform, the cop, is going in that direction. That superhero is going in that direction to help. So that is what their moral obligation, their duty is. So these all are some sort of lifestyle kind of personality changes or kind of traits which you have to inculcate in your personality, because your ascendant lord is there in the 6th house. If you will not inculcate these kind of habits, the problems of the 6th house will start bothering you in those cases. Like when we say challenges on the account of enemies, financial scarcity is something which I have seen people in lot many cases being engaged and being embroiled over there. Now guys, when we talk about that, your ascendant lord is placed in the 8th house and it is strengthened. So guys, one thing which I want to recommend to all these people is that there has to be something which you are very deeply obsessed and passionate about, and which is little bit separated from the daily league. Like this could be a case that you are a doctor, you are a surgeon, but at the same time you have equal interest in astrology, equal interest in the topics of healing, alternative form of healing, how the energy centers work, how the chakras work. And also guys, if your ascendant lord is there in the 8th house, the good part is that somehow your whole life force can actually become a good medium as well. Like when we talk about all those people who tend to remain very proficient in the shastras, who tend to remain very proficient in the matters of the life and death. And the good part is that you have this capacity to your psychic awareness could be of such an extent that you can actually sense all those objects which are around you without any physical presence. So that sort of heightened state of transcendental state of conscious awareness is something which comes to someone in whose case their ascendant lord has gone to the 8th house. Like the way, guys, see, you go to any of the sales interview, a lot many times the person who is conducting the interview, he already knows the challenges which are attached with the job, but a job candidate is just going to say that, okay, I can perform my best. But the one who has already treaded the path, he knows about it, that okay, you have that skill or not. If you have read that trilogy of Aghora series written by Robert Soboda sir, in one of the chapter it was mentioned that the very first time when his teacher, Vimlananda's teacher, he took him to that cremation ground, because after seeing the chart of that person, Vimlananda, he knew this thing that okay, you could be a good instrument for this practice, because the other entities will easily communicate with you. They will easily enter your physical self. So that is what I'm trying to say, that if your ascendant lord is placed in the 8th house, first of all, my first tip to all these people is that always welcome changes, always welcome transformation with the open arms, because this is something which is definitely going to happen. It is bound to happen. Like all those cases where someone who was in a very cushy corporate job, and suddenly a transformation happened, now that guy became a monk, or someone who was doing very good in or someone who had a very hedonistic lifestyle, and that person became a very very celibate. So all these kind of extreme transformation, like which can completely give a complete U-turn to your life, that can only happen from the 8th house. And again, guys, I always say this thing, that when it comes down to the attributes of the 8th house, and if your ascendant lord is strengthened over here, so staying ritualistic and following the omens also become very important. That my recommendation is that whatsoever task you have to initiate, always do those tasks in the auspicious timings. Like the way, guys, all the Muhurt Shastra which has been written in our religious and sacred text, the whole logic of that is that if you will initiate that task when the planetary vibrations are in harmony with the nature of the task, you will be well supported. And again, guys, like you would not believe, I was watching someone talking about the same thing about our Indian Prime Minister Narendra Singh Modi sir, that definitely he's very religious. There was a time when he almost became a sadhu or a monk as well, and the kind of religious austerities he would have done, that in his case, if you will observe his life, omens help him in such an extent that the opponents automatically start getting affected, whomsoever come in his way. Like I still remember, there was that uproar which happened in Maldives against Narendra Modi ji, and later on we are just seeing from the past couple of days the kind of news which is coming in from the Maldives. So that is what the case is, that when your 8th house is strengthened, when your nodal axis is strengthened, and you are living a very ritualistic life, then trust me on this thing, that nature in itself starts working in harmony with you. Like you do not have to worry about what I mentioned this thing. 6th house is something when you have to remain cautious, you have to remain alert. 8th house is something where that invisible territory is all the time guarding you. Now this could be any entity, this could be any energy, but all what is expected out of you is that surrender to the nature and do everything in tandem with it. And that is where all the knowledge of these shastras and all these right nakshatra, right panchang muhurta come into play. And also, guys, I generally say this thing, that although I'm not a strong advocate of gemstones and everything, but compared to any other house in the chart, those people who have any connection of their ascendant with the 8th house, so wearing all these amulets, those rudraksha beads, or those gemstones, or whatsoever is prescribed and considered as lucky amulet in your religion, in your belief, in your culture, you should keep that in your body. That always guards you, that always helps you. And like the way, guys, I already mentioned this thing, that if you have your ascendant lord in the 8th house, I'm not recommending you to become an astrologer like me, but even as a part of your habit, there has to be some sort of devotion, natural interest and curiosity in this area, in this department. Because guys, again, this is a very sensitive house, because when it comes down to the positive attributes, your name will be remembered even after when you will be gone from the world. All sort of unpredictable, sudden, stupendous financial gains also come from this house. But when it comes down to that, all sort of, taboo desires, unnatural desires, all sort of scandal, defamation, stigma, that also comes from this house. So if your ascendant lord is here, you cannot keep this house aside from your life, that your dasha is active of a planet which is in the 10th house, or you have your interest or your career, because 10th house lord is placed in some other house, so you are just focused and aligned over there. No, but your ascendant lord is there, so the focal point of your life is somehow attached with the attributes of that house as well. Now guys, when we talk about that your ascendant lord is placed in the 12th house, so definitely guys, any astrologer will say this thing, that first of all, doing consistent charities becomes very important, and not holding your life, or like that degree of self-importance has to be toned down, because now this is a spiritual teachings as well, and that is what the ascendant lord being in the 12th house will ask you to follow, that degree of self-importance needs to be toned down. Second thing is that charities, donations, not valuing things too much in the life, because it can be taken away anytime. That is one more lesson which comes to you. And also guys, I would say that healthy sleep becomes very important. You have got this capacity to become a channel or become a successful instrument for the external energies. Like the way guys, we say this thing, and I mentioned the example of that book Aghora, written by Robert Svoboda sir, the chapter where Vimlananda was seen as a good instrument by his teacher. So you could be an instrument for attracting the energies of some positive energies, angels and devatas as well, and you could be instrument for negative entities as well. And generally guys, those people who have their ascendant lord in the 12th house, so unless and until you're working as a professional, some paranormal expert and all, it is good for you. But otherwise, it is always advisable to stay away from all those places where there is a very strong vulnerable energy of negative entities residing over there, people with negative mindset. So otherwise you could be very easily become a target for those energies. So that is something which I want to recommend over here. Generally it's a thumb rule that being away from your birthplace could be successful for you, and there has to be me time for all those people who have got their ascendant lord in the 12th house. Now this could be case that you take out couple of days for your self-isolation, for meditation, or for some religious spiritual retreat. You have this habit of taking a vacation, and generally because generally I'm in my consultations, I generally keep on coming across all those people who are living a nomadic lifestyle, majority of the people who are from the West, and they can follow that sort of lifestyle, that attending a spiritual retreat in Bali, attending a spiritual retreat in some other place for a couple of days. You want to be from your busy schedule, busy life, you just want to take out a couple of days for your self-isolation, introspection, and Ayurveda treatments and all of that. So that becomes very important for you. So like let's say for example, if you are living in a very joint family kind of culture, where that much is not possible because of your family duties, responsibilities and all. So I would say that even in a day, doing yoga, going out of fresh air, morning walk, and having that me time becomes very important for all those people who have their ascendant lord being placed in the 12th house. Along with that guys, anything to do with the foreign relocation, moving away from the birthplace, we have already discussed. And also guys, with this placement, if you're professionally engaged in any of the secretive, covert activities, then you are utilizing and honoring the energy of this house. But if it is not getting applicable in your case, then it is always recommended to have a very disciplined, lifestyle and a very prescribed kind of honorable life, because otherwise there will always be those things which are hidden from you. There will always be those kind of people who will be easily getting instigated from you, from your aura, from your energy. So you should not give more fuel to the fire by conducting and engaging in those activities which could turn people against you behind your back. So yes guys, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For furthermore updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyavad.